I'm telling you, if anyone listening to this has that feeling in them, it's because they're meant to. They would not have that dream in their heart. They wouldn't have that desire if they did not have the capacity to materialize that, to actualize that.
This is Inspired Founders, a podcast that helps you find your true north in business and beyond. I'm Priscilla Skippington, a soul-led entrepreneur passionate about sharing the wisdom of world-leading business minds who have walked the path before us. From their toughest challenges to their greatest triumphs, we explore the stories that have shaped their journey and defined their future. Together, we discover the resilience and redemption it truly takes to achieve success, make a lasting impact on the world, and live a life that is truly fulfilling. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Inspired Founders with me, Priscilla Ann, and our incredible international guest today, Cara Elizabeth. Welcome.
I am so honored, so excited to be here. I love your platform. You empower people, so I'm here for that. So thank you for letting me be a part of your podcast.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. I was just saying off air before we jumped on that I have followed you for quite some time. And when you messaged me, I was a bit of a fangirl moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, of course, I'd love to have you on my podcast. Your journey has been incredible to watch, especially over the last few years since I've tuned into what you're doing and what you're creating and the content you put out into the world, the audience that you're building is just truly inspirational, and you are the perfect inspired founder to be on this podcast. So I'm just so grateful to have you, really.
Oh my God. I'm just honored. So thank you so much. Thank you.
So Inspired Founders is all about the inspiring journey to get you to where you are now and doing and creating the impact that you are now. But we all know the entrepreneurial journey usually starts with something quite different, and it can be, childhood or something will happen in your life. And I know you have a very powerful story. So I would love for you to share with our guests a little around how this all started, who Cara was before Cara is now who she is and doing and creating what she is now.
So I will say that everything that has pushed me to really find my own empowerment, to share my work, to work for myself, has all came from my trauma. And I was sexually abused as a child. And I actually had no idea until I was around 18 in college. But it all started, um, my mother had a couple friends with Indigenous American background, and they taught her about this thing called animal medicine, which is the philosophy that when certain animals appear in your life, if you study their behavior, their mythology, their lore, there's usually a mirror reflection of, something that they want to share with you to empower you, to help you on your path. So I was aware of that. And when I went to college, my first year as a freshman, I had this dream of all these ravens coming in my window, and they were sharing with me that basically telling me without telling me that I needed to know the truth. And it led to this whole thing of this realization of that I was sexually abused as a child. So I remembered my mother had taught me about animal medicine, and I went on this, deep research of trying to understand what ravens mean. And one of their mythological meanings that has been carried through different cultures was they're really amazing, and they have lots of other meanings, but one of them is that they can be a bearer of a message that is really difficult to hear. So I was completely like, wow, the fact that they came to my dream and told me that, and that they have this collective meaning that I wasn't even aware of, I was just instantly so connected to understanding more about the animals and what they meant, and I kind of became obsessed. Also, I've just always had such a thing with animals. I became a vegetarian when I was 9, like no one else in my family was. It was just this deep connection with animals. So, um, Anyways, I get super into animal medicine, but I start slowly through the years, more and more memories were surfacing. I was seeing every type of healer, alternative, Western, all the things, while kind of going down the road, seeing really like interesting alternative, but being heavily medicated
Yeah.
through Western psychology and psychiatric help. So I I just I was getting worse and worse on my journey. Like I guess I thought, oh, I'm doing all this healing work, by the time I hit my 30s, I'll be clean as a whistle. Not at all. I actually continued to yeah, I actually continued to just get worse in my own psyche, and
Mm.
I was completely identified as a victim. I completely just felt like life was suffering. And it got to a point where I was like, what am I even doing here? So I'm an artist, and it felt like all my work and everything I was doing, like I had this feeling I was meant to share something really big. Like that is always the thing in me. And I'm telling you, if anyone listening to this has that feeling in them, it's because they're meant to. They would not have that dream in their heart, they wouldn't have that desire if they did not have the capacity to materialize that, to actualize that. So I felt that in my heart, and I felt like my art was going nowhere. I was kind of just working in retail to support myself, and my understanding of reality was actually really terrifying, and I was suffering, and I was dealing with complex PTSD. So it was like I really felt like, maybe ending this life is would be the most like the or the only kind of solution to this level of kind of insanity I felt like I was living in, this idea that I could never manifest my greatest purpose, and this kind of deep victim mentality. But there was one thing I never tried, and it was to do it by myself. So I was like, you know what? Let's just pause on that other idea, and let's see what happens if I don't go to anyone and I try to fix myself, and I do it in a way that resonates with me. So I started doing all these other things, and that's where my creativity got really involved, with trying different techniques and focusing on, the health of my body and what I was eating, even just physiologically, chemically within myself. I got myself off all the medication I was on by myself. I'm not recommending that for anyone else, but like that was my journey. So, and then I went down this kind of communion with the creator of just having these deep conversations. I would go to my roof, and I live in Brooklyn, so we all have apartments, roof access usually. So I would go to the roof before I went to work, after work, and I would just like sob and pray, and I would be angry, and I would express my anger, but I would also then within a moment just switch from anger into like, what do you want me to do? Let me serve humanity. Whatever you want me to do, I will do it.
Yeah.
And then, not, kind of shortly after that, all of a sudden I get offered this job to work at Gucci. They were opening up a concept store. So they wanted artists to work in sales there. And I was already in retail. I was an artist. So I get this gig, and there's animals everywhere. This is when Alessandro Michele was the creative director. His father was a shaman. And so there's all this like mystical stuff.
Mm.
And I'm like, oh, you know, telling the director of the store, you could like sell these things with animals on it, like by explaining what the animals actually mean to people. Then it feels like a salesman. That's why, like, spending $300 on a wallet, you're giving it this deeper, powerful meaning because there's a bee on it and sharing what the bee means.
Yeah.
So I asked the director, I was like, I would love to do morning meetings with the staff and teach them what the animals mean. So I started printing. I would draw these animals, I would print them out in like just by the tons on my printer, and I would cut these little cards. I'd give them to the staff. I would do these workshops and meetings with the staff, and then all of a sudden, if someone was buying something with the animal that I had a card of, I would give them the card, and they were letting me because this was like a creative space. Then all of a sudden I keep getting more cards and I'm telling the clients like, pull a card. So they start pulling cards. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm like, this is what this means to you. And then little did I know I was creating Animal Apothecary, the card deck that I sell. But here's what's even crazier. So I'm like in love with this. I'm like, oh my God, the animals. I want to just make all these animals to teach me more things. So I would just think of like, okay, what's my problem right now? What animal is the medicine for that? So each card became like a prescription for me, the new prescription. So I'd create those. I'm building this as a deck. I'm doing readings like legit every day at Gucci. I was giving readings to clients and it was totally okay because it was kind
I
of like
love
this.
that so much.
So yeah, right. I'm like literally soliciting, okay? But like for some reason it's like totally fine. And then
Because it was
uh,
divine, right? It was
yeah,
all part of the plan.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I realized like I gotta make this into a deck. I want to get it published. And by the way, like still dealing with such low self-esteem, not really believing in myself, but I just knew like, but I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna figure out how to write because you have to get a deck deal. You go to a publisher, you have to write a book deal, you have to get a literary agent, and then you have to get um and hopefully a publisher will give you a book deal. So I go on, I think it was like about 7 months, all this like investigation of how do I write a book proposal, how do I get a book deal, all this stuff. And there was one part of, so like it took me 7 or 8 months. There was one part left that I had to film something at the bottom of, or in my book proposal that was me sharing about the cards. And I asked the manager, like, could I come in before work and film in the book? They also had a bookstore, which I was like, I got to manifest my card deck being sold at the Gucci bookstore,
Yeah, definitely.
which I did. I'll get to that
I love
too.
that.
So, yeah. So, I'm like, can I just come in before work before when no one's there and just film this thing? And he was like, again, I don't, the grace of God, like, sure, come on. Like, yeah, okay. So he lets me. And that morning as I'm getting ready, I'm listening to YouTube and Louise Hay comes on. If you're unfamiliar or if anyone is, she's the founder and creator of Hay House Publishing. So she comes on and she's super, into the manifesting and self-help. And I'm listening to her and I'm like, well, I haven't listened to Louise Hay in like years or something. And I don't know why she's just stuck in my head. Like I haven't listened to her. So whatever, I go to work, I film the thing, the last piece of the puzzle of the book proposal is done, and then work starts. And then Gabby Bernstein walks in. So again, if people aren't familiar, she's a New York Times bestseller. She's like a master teacher of manifesting. And ironically, I wrote about her in my book proposal because she you in book proposals you have to kind of compare and contrast to what other people are doing. So she's so into manifesting. I shared about her in my book proposal. So I see her and I'm like, this is a great sign. I'm just going to go up and thank her because this is just a good sign. So I go up, I thank her, and then I start to walk away. I wasn't going to try to like give her a reading. I was just like, this is a confirmation that it's all working out. The fact that she comes in here the day that I finished my book proposal, and then all of a sudden, my coworker is like, Cara like does these amazing workshops with, about the animals and like does readings. And I was like, you know what? I turn around and I pull out my cards from my pocket and I go to Gabby Bernstein and I'm like, pull a card. She pulls a card, her assistant pulls a card. I give them the reading. And then she said, send me that book proposal. I'm going to send it to Hay House. So long story short, I got immediate interest from them. I didn't even have an agent yet because there's like seemingly steps you have to take. And long story shorter, I got the book deal with Hay House, who is Louise Hay, the one that I was watching earlier that day. So it was divine. It was so divine. And I also attribute that to right? There's that persistence, that there's that take action, that don't give up. Even though I had the insecurity, even though I didn't think I was good enough. I mean, I was like so full of just a lot of dysfunctional programming. But that those communions with the creator and just surrendering and being like, what do you want me to do, is literally this. Okay. My whole life has changed since creating this. So that's how it started.
What an incredible story. Like, oh my gosh, I know
Wait,
every listener. Yes, go, go.
yeah. So as soon as I start doing these meetings at Gucci, like a couple weeks in, it's my birthday. So me and a bunch of friends, we go to the forest. Of course, I'm like, let's be in nature. And all of a sudden, I see that there's this vulture, and I'm like, "Oh my God, vulture!" It means the ending of something, right? Like this, and when we see vulture, it can often represent like something, some kind of suffering is coming to an ending. So I'm like, I gotta follow that vulture. So of course, I'm like, guys, run with me to follow the vulture. So we're running, and I'm like leading the way because it was all low to the ground, and it leads us to a dying raven. And I was like, yes, right, right. So I knew it. I knew that this was my gift from God, that this was creation literally speaking back to me, that messenger who told you and revealed to you your past, and that you stayed in that identity of victim and the post-traumatic stress disorder. This is a representation. This creature that's passing away in front of you on your birthday is, it was a message from life that that part of my life was over. So usually I can,
Complete goosebumps, like
I know,
all the
I
way
know.
up
And
right now.
yeah, I know. I'm like, this is not real life. Okay. But it is. So
It
I'm
is.
like, yeah. And I can't handle animals dying at all, but there was something so sacred, and it felt, even just so I pick up the raven, it's dying in my arms. There's this like softness, starts pouring rain, right? And like it just was like I felt joyful, I felt celebratory. It didn't, again, I can't really deal with animals dying, but this was just on another level of something. And even the raven, it was all like, it, I guess, a feeling of like everyone was okay with this next level. The raven was okay with its ascension. Like,
Yeah.
so it was just really, yeah. And then me and my friends and we're like dancing in the rain, like doing a rain dance. But yeah, it's just, it's just, it's crazy, and it's amazing, and it's beautiful. And I attribute a couple of things, my, well, one, the thing about my trauma, what no therapist, what no healer was really getting to the root of, was like, this girl has had power over her, right? Perceived power. Like, no one can really take her power. But in the context of like someone having a power over you, and the antidote would obviously be she needs to get her power back. That's as simple as that. Like, her power was taken, and now she needs to be empowered. And that is what I learned on this journey of creating this. That is what healed me, is being empowered and taking my power back. And like, for some reason, there was kind of a coddling of the victim, right? Like a coddling, like, you're so, we're going to diagnose you with this and this and this, what's wrong with you. And it was almost this dialogue of, we're all getting off on how effed up I am, right? So it's, and not every healer I worked with was like that, but I guess I'm like, the antidote was power, and no one seemed to like know that, but I figured it out. So, oh, what I was going to say is, so my trauma is what gifted me knowing unempowerment, knowing loss of power, knowing being disempowered, is why I am so heavily, just almost like obsessed with understanding empowerment and then teaching that to other people, with connection to the creator, something beyond myself, and just constantly asking to receive inspiration. So, because none of this is me, I'm just like the vessel
Yeah.
for it.
I totally get that. Oh my gosh, your story, it just got better with that next. I'm so glad you
No,
stopped me and you shared that. I'm so
yeah,
glad you did, because that
it's
just, oh, that's just power. That is power right there. And even though it could have been a really sad moment, like you said, you found so much clarity and confirmation and peace in that moment because it was there for something greater than what it appeared to be in the 3D, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that that's a message for so many parts of your story as well, right? Like what we interpret or what we perceive in our 3D reality and what is actually potentially unfolding behind the scenes that we can't see.
Everything is for our growth. Everything is for our growth. And the way I believe that horrifying traumatic things is we have, if we survive those things and we go into our adulthood, or even things can happen as a kid or as an adult, but we can choose to let it take us down, whether it's through drugs or repeating certain like dysfunctional behaviors or killing yourself or whatever it is. But it's almost like there's this crazy energy happening right there, and you have a choice, and you can take that energy and you can transmute it and turn it into light. And that is the justice. That's the justice. This is my justice to being molested,
Yeah.
right? Like, this
Yeah.
is my justice. I made my justice. And so I think everyone, like, we can create our own justice, and that is empowering. So yeah.
Very much so. I speak about this a lot as well. You know, we have a choice in every moment, in every situation of our life. We can choose to see it negatively and it can bring us down, and we can go down that downward spiral and choose all the bad habits and bad patterns and let ourselves fall away into that. Or we can choose to see it for something that can really be transmuted into good, that can be alchemized and create our own healing and turn it into something so impactful for others. Literally, what Inspired Founders has been created out of is so many entrepreneurs that I meet do and create the impact they do because of trauma, because of something that has happened to them that has been so traumatizing. But through that journey of healing themselves, they've found a greater meaning as to why that has all come about. And it's same as my journey. I mean, very similar. And it's through not so much with the animals, but I do love animals. And I remember way back when I would have been like 17 or 18 when I had an animal card deck, not your one, which I am so excited to get now. I need myself.
And I'm pretty sure it's in Australia too. I
Okay,
think
yeah.
you can get it on Amazon. You guys have
Yeah,
Amazon,
we
right?
do. Yeah.
Amazon's,
Everywhere has Amazon
yeah,
now.
what am I talking about? Am I
um,
from like 10 years ago?
and but often I will get, and so many of us do, bees or butterflies. Like butterflies for me are always around. I'm a feathers girl. I always get feathers in the most random places at the most random times. But we all have um those signs that come to us. And it's again whether we choose to see them as a gift and as a
Or
synchronicity and as a sign, or whether we just bypass it and keep, so tunneled vision.
Yeah, I actually think we're surrounded by signs all the time, and it's our perception that allows us to see it or be veiled to it. I
Correct.
think there's guidance. I think there's life is facilitating, empowerment is sharing things that can help us grow, even the things we don't like. Mostly, what am I talking about? Of the things
Mostly applying the things we don't like.
right, right. But it just is like, it's reality in itself is like, the science of reality is freaking mystical. Science is mystical, and mystical is science.
Correct. Correct. And look, there's so much of science that I think, incredible. Humans have done incredible things with understanding science and space, so much. But then there's so much mystery still left in life. And it's, I think, when you choose to go, this can't be what we see, that's when you start to open up those layers of like, well, if this is, again, coming back to that idea of perception, if this is just my perception, then what else can be there? I think that's such a powerful question. That's how things start to open up and unravel. Well, for me, anyway, it's like when you actually get curious about your own life, your own experiences, and life itself, that's when things can start to really open up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I also think those moments in life when we can't seem it feels like we can't get out of our own way, we are so stuck in a perception. Even those rock bottom moments are so needed for people kind of to understand that like such a painful existence of how they're perceiving reality is almost the thing that can help quantum jump you into that search for something better.
agreed, agreed. And even it's so it goes in cycles as well and waves, I find, in life. Even, we're at a point now where, life is incredible, and it is, but there's still days, like I was only last week, and it's probably happening with the moon as well. You go through stages of like, oh my god, what am I doing, what am I doing here, questioning everything, and then 2 days later it's like you come out of a portal and you're like, I'm reborn, I'm ready to go again, and I've got new perception and understanding and ideas and creation. And it's like being okay with those moments. It's like the storm before the calm. It's being okay to sit in those moments where it doesn't feel comfortable, where you're questioning everything and you're not understanding anything, because that is actually what propels us forward into the next. Yeah,
Yeah, that is like the you can't have it's the thing that like you said is leading to the bigger thing or the manifestation or figuring it out, and it's those moments of just feeling unsupported by yourself, by life, unsupported, unable in trust and not knowing. It's like they're the things that facilitate like the opening of the portal almost.
correct.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's so mysterious.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I'd love you to talk a little bit about your publishing journey, because I think there is a lot of entrepreneurs who want to be published, whether it be books or cards or anything. How was that journey for you? Obviously, you had some incredible divine help there. But
Yeah.
how has that journey of publishing been for you, and what have you found it's done for you in your career as well?
So, my publishing journey, I actually um teach a course on this on my website for any of your listeners who are interested in how to get classically published because it's quite a lot of steps. The way that it happened for me is very different from normal. Like you have to write a book proposal, send it to a ton of literary agents, get rejected a million times, and then finally you get one, and then they send it to a ton of publishers, get rejected a million times, and then finally there's one. But you know, my the thing about publishing, and at least at this point in my life with classically publishing, I think the most powerful thing it did for me was shared my work internationally, and it shared my work with places I would never even know how to get into if I decided to publish by myself. And I think that was like the biggest reason too that I decided to not self-publish, which is such an epic thing to do. It's just, and maybe at some point that I'll do that. But like I love the support system of I don't have to figure out like what kind of card and what type of paper is it and like getting a box and trying to figure out all these things to, how to sell a card deck. But not only that, like how do I get into these random stores that I don't even know exist? Like how would I
Yeah.
even it's really supportive. And I think the other thing is there's an old time idea, at least that I had that I didn't know. It is, we're in a place in life where I think maybe in the past, and maybe if you're like super hot, there's a different kind of hot, as in not like physically, but like your book is like popping off. there's a certain, you know, like I think my kind of thought was like, "Oh, like they're gonna help me with book tours or whatever," and that's not it's all about self-promotion. Like, publishers wanna see that, like, you are here to self-promote, that you can sell yourself because publishers have so many different authors, and we're just in a place right now where we have the, privilege to create our own fame through social media, so I think that is you don't need to have huge followings. I think um I had I had a good following on TikTok, but on Instagram I had 1,000 followers. Like, and so, you
Yeah.
know, but they do want to see that like you will go out of your way and try, connect with someone to be on a podcast like I did with you. They want to see that like you'll share your work, you'll promote it, you'll sell it. And I guess I'll just rewind it back to working in sales and retail. Like, as an artist, it's no one wants to sell themselves as an artist. I mean, maybe, but I think I had really good training for working in retail, which seemed
Yeah.
like a century long, but um, just about and you know what else I learned? Sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place, but
Right.
working at Gucci, like leveling up to luxury, packaging, right?
Mm.
How are we talking about our work? How are we elevating this pricing? Sometimes too low actually diminishes. There's like that psychological thing, like, oh, this is just like
Mhm.
not really worth it. So for my ability to have higher prices and when I'm, pitch for coaching or whatever it might be is because I know it trained me to kind of understand value in a different way. Like, oh, if someone's gonna will pay, $2,000 for a bag, what does that actually mean for when I'm working with someone and helping them get to the next level? So that was really important. Sorry, I just like steered that into
No,
this
perfect,
well
because
conversation.
it's very true about sales, and because it plays such a big part even in, like, getting on social media and self-promotion, like, how to sell yourself. Sales is so crucial, I've had many businesses over my 12 years as an entrepreneur, but one of them, I had a network marketing company for 4.5 years. I was part of one, and that journey wasn't for me long term, but what it taught me about marketing and sales was like incredible, and how to put yourself out there and how to sell things. And I think
Mhm.
that part of business doesn't get taught enough is the sales part. I feel like everyone talks about making money these days and
Yeah.
growing, but it's like, actually, can you sell yourself first to be able to do that?
And can you be magnetic? That can your personality, have charisma and magnetism, and that is a part of like, I mean, the other thing I
Self-expression.
yeah, the exactly. The other thing though, I will say that for me has always was so interesting watching when, every day selling, you kind of can start to notice when am I selling really good days and what is the vibe going, like what's happening when it's not.
Yeah.
Ever I was super open and feeling good, I had so many like the biggest sales would come in, like someone just walk in and be like, "I want that thing," and it's $7,000. And then other times when I was just feeling and I relate this to how I literally feel this in my body. I'm either open or I'm closed or I'm kind of in the middle sometimes. But I'm probably more in the middle of, like, my daily life, but when I'm really feeling just, "Oh, I think that's, like, safe," right? Like, the nervous system feels safe, I just feel excited about life. There's just these, like, bizarro just opportunities, like, with, these things that feel just so easy and effortless, and then there's kind of feeling closed and a little bit, putting more effort in and smaller kind of the what you're receiving back maybe feels like you put more effort in and receiving less in return. So it's
It's the whole trying thing, right, as well. when we're really trying and we're coming up against things and we're coming up against obstacles, but we're like, we've got to make this happen. And then we get in that cycle of like, but this has to happen this way. And then we don't, we've closed ourselves off, like you said, to surrendering. We can't allow the universe to create any magic in that moment because we're so closed off and in our bodies and not, like you said, open. We're not open to receiving any of the
Yeah.
magic. Yeah.
And it's like I think if there was, um, well, this is what I'll say about the open close thing. And coming from like a trauma background, I think my my kind of foundation was closed, right? That's safety. It just is like that we're creating an energetic boundary because weird stuff can happen in reality that is horrifying and terrifying. So we're just going to always be like this. There's just an invisible shield around you. And that defense mechanism sounds like right. Like, and I have a feeling like it was a protection shield. Like I think I legit created a protection shield, but as you get older, like it then blocks opportunity, people, like it just blocks everything. So that's been, unlearning that programming and trusting life. Like trust, oh my God, for the past, because I started working for myself last January. So it's been 1 year and 1 month since I've been doing this on my own. So
Congratulations.
thank you. It's like, oh my God, like, oh God, working for yourself is the best thing in the world. I mean, I'm sure you are aware challenges that are like, oh God, but I mean, for me, it's just such a gift. But really, it's all trust and it's trusting and taking the risks and taking the jumps and having moments that are shaky, but still knowing,
Mhm.
okay, it's still gonna work out. Like I don't have the answer yet. The money isn't, and then and it ends up always it always works out, and it does. I mean it does. It is weird. It always works out, but it's almost like I've just been constantly being strengthened by life. Like now we're going to take it to another level. Can you trust this weird situation? So, yeah, the big, 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 big thing I've been really working on.
Very much so. Trust and knowing, like the words you've just
Oh,
used,
being in the know.
being in the knowing, it makes all the difference. And I find like I've mentored many women, as I know you're in that space now too. And knowing is something very difficult to teach someone. Knowing is something that you can really only discover on your own journey. And often it happens when you are working for yourself and you have no other option but to trust and to
Yeah,
know
yeah,
because there is no one else who's got your back. It is
you know
literally
what?
you and the creator, and that is it.
Exactly. You know what too? I think it's trust and then it's knowing,
It is.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to first have this relationship with trust. And it's almost like, that kind of, I'm still scared. I don't feel it, know it, but I'm going to trust everything is going to work out. I have faith. I have faith. But then the knowing is just like, oh, F it. Like, we're good. Like,
Exactly. And I think it comes from the journey of trust, 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 surrender,
no,
trust, trust,
right.
trust, surrender. And then you
Yes,
get to the point as
yes,
it's happened
yes.
enough times, you go, okay, I know this is
Yes.
going to be
Okay.
fine because I've been here 50 times before and it's always been okay.
You just said it. It's through that repetition of seeing. It's almost like you're teaching. A
Mhm.
lot of us our brains have to be like, show me the proof. So we have to look like, okay, that happened that time and it worked out. That happened this time and it worked out. That didn't happen the way I wanted it to, but it actually ended up leading to this and that worked out. And it's like, showing, give yourself this like proof. But you said it, like seeing it that it's working is what leads to the knowing. So that's why you
Right.
can't teach it.
Exactly. Amazing. So, I mean, experience with Gabby Bernstein, that would just be such an incredible moment. Talk about, so now it's been a year on your own. What was the step? When did you know you could now do this on your own? Was it an
So
income piece? Was it like a trust, a knowing, a just leap of
yeah, it
faith?
would have
What
been
what was it? Yeah.
I had gotten published and I still, uh, 22, 23. I think it was like 2.5 or 3 years. Like I still stayed working after I got published because unless you're like a New York
You live
Times
in
best,
Brooklyn.
yeah, well that. But, the thing too with how you make money from books, it's unless you're killing it, it's not like gonna support you for I mean, I guess it all depends, right? In my circumstance, it was a nice extra things coming in, but it's not like, oh, I can just be cool for a year not having, whatever, a job. So, um yeah, there was all this kind of like figuring out um and really just knowing like the goal has always been to work for myself, but I also my I think most people work like this like I do need to like do it intelligently and with some kind of structure aligned. So, just doing random readings or random workshops, it was like, okay, but I don't have a consistent like amount of money coming in and I don't know, you know, I just didn't know. So then I just start, in the last year, I was just doing way more live workshops. I was loving it. It was just so empowering for me because I teach a lot of body movement and intertwining the body with animals and music and just these activation workshops. And I like I one of my friends, or we weren't we connected Taylor Eaton. She does the wealth vibe. She has created these amazing wealth decks. Anyone listening should check her out. But I had connected to her through sending her one of my decks, and she's a wealth coach. And, we became friends, and she just shared with me how supportive having a membership was. She's like, look, girl, you got thousands on YouTube, thousands of people on Instagram. You could have a membership, something, so it was even like I joined her membership, saw what it was like, the vibe, other people's like, oh, and it was like, right, a membership can at least, that there's some kind of consistency of money coming in.
Yeah.
Also for I think it was like for about a year and a half, I was also just saving money. Like, here's the backup. Like, here's going to be my little egg. And it wasn't some insane amount, but it was like a good amount. And so I had that in my pocket of something just, I think because everyone just wants to quit when they don't like their job. But it's like, yeah, but have a strategy, have a backup. Because, two, and someone again from a trauma background, like you are gonna kill your nervous system by taking a risk without anything that's supportive, like do you have something in case, just making your body feel safe, like okay, I have this much money in the bank, I'd be okay for 5 months if something like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So having like something in the bank, then she's telling me Taylor Eaton's like the membership girl, you can do this, you can do this. And then I just remember it was like one day in November, I did a workshop. I did it live on YouTube. It was so successful. And I felt like I couldn't enjoy it. And I knew because I was working like crazy. It was just all I was doing. My life was work, work, work. At work, I would be working on my other deck I've been creating, body tech. I'd be working on the workshop I was gonna, and then during work, it was just like I was working all the time. And I was like, I also realized I am a teacher and I have to be a teacher to be a teacher. Like I can't keep yeah. So I have to be a teacher. I align with the one of the archetypes I align with is a teacher. Like I love to teach. I'm like, listen to this. So anyways, I do this workshop. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna create the membership. I have my savings, and I'm gonna quit by January 1st. So that was giving me. There was November, there was December, and then there was January. So I luckily, like with my website and everything, I'm pretty tech savvy. I have an experimental animation background. Like I know how to do stuff. So I made a membership on my site. I had people like a waiting list, all this stuff. But I didn't actually know how many people were going to join. But I was like, we're going to launch it January 1st. I'm leaving work January 2nd. And it was terrifying. It was absolutely terrifying. It was like, it was the scariest thing. One of the scariest things I've ever done. I guess I've ever done. Like it was
And has it
unbelievably.
turned into the best thing ever?
Oh yeah. Like
There we go, guys. Scariest thing turns into the best thing ever.
yeah, but like the terror is real.
Mhm,
Every
mhm.
single thing that you could be scared about will be attacking you at night for hours in bed, and then you have to get up and go to work. Like it's 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 scary. So best
So how many
thing.
people did you have join?
So I think it was it in the first week it was around 100, and now it's still say it's between like 150, 200 people come and go, but the first week it was like 100, and it was
So
at
good.
the time, now it's $44 a month, but it was $33 a month. So I just wanted to make it accessible for people too. But that was bringing in enough for me to cover rent, to do whatever else in case I didn't make any money in anything outside. But then I was able to just, everything kept aligning and expanding. And I'm currently at a next moment of my life where I need to like, where I'm expanding my own, where I am with wealth and really breaking through to this next version of myself. And it's been interesting, just kind of seeing, okay, there's this old version of myself that has felt this way about money and didn't even kind of realize that. And so yeah, I'm in the middle of a quantum jump, and it's awesome, and it's kind of re-understanding a lot of things, and even just evolving what I'm teaching, evolving my website, evolving my courses, evolving what I'm sharing. So I'm in this like this, oh, it's very that butterfly metamorphosis coming out of the into the butterfly. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
but
love
I
that.
love
And I
that.
love it. And so many of us, and I think it doesn't matter where you are on your journey, there's always a new version of self, a new ceiling to crack,
Yeah, yeah.
um a new way to be seen more. You know, like there's always new levels. I don't think the journey ever ends, ever. And for anyone who is into astrology as well, I mean, I know that you'd be aware it's nearly the fire horse as well. And I feel everyone's feeling so much energy around that at the moment. And everyone's really leaning into this new era of self. Do you have anything to share on the fire horse and where everyone's feeling that eager at the moment?
Yeah, so horse has been one of the most like innovative technologies of humanity. It literally was this transportation, a thing to get us from point A to point B in like, I don't even know, like what, like quadruple, triple, like, instead of taking like days to walk somewhere, you could ride a horse and get there in hours. And it completely changed how humanity, works. So that in itself is about like, there's this next evolution of us, and this isn't about necessarily kind of becoming horse, it's about riding horse. So it's not about this efforting and like that like super yang energy. It's about allowing yourself to ride this thing to exactly where you want to go. And you know what? I was listening,
I
there's a
love that.
member, yeah, there's a member in my membership, and she works with horses. I'm actually gonna try to get her to talk more about it in one of my lives. But Christiane, she was talking about like, the way she was explaining the evolution, that how we evolved from horse, also made it like, it just became really clear, like, oh, we're in another evolution moment. Like there's another um evolving of how, we perceive, that's actually gonna get us to what we want way quicker. So I think we are actually in a collective moment where we're all collectively kind of getting this whole manifesting, getting this kind of I create, right? I what I think I create. So getting that is actually speeding up how we all manifest and create quicker. So we're going to start manifesting way quicker. So please, your deeds, your words, your actions, please be careful with what you think. But horse is also about um if we think of, horse as our thoughts, so there's wild horse, it'll kick you in the face, it'll do whatever it wants, run circles around you. But if you learn how to tame the horse, and there are ways to respectfully tame a horse, I know there's some ways that are very inhumane, but you can actually ride that horse to get you to your manifestation way quicker. So this is also the year of really taming our thoughts and getting really crystal clear about our intention and about even just the way we're thinking about the world. Like align with world peace, everyone. First of all, I do want to say that that is one big thing that is so important to me that, I want everyone listening to this to just take a moment and realize, like, we get so inundated by watching so much negativity, but in the world of infinite possibilities and knowing that we can create whatever we want. And if we collectively hold the vision of world peace, when it'll come, how it'll come, who knows? But like, that's manifesting, right? When it'll come, how it'll come, who knows? But all of us have turned our trauma into something amazing. So let's hold that vision for humanity. Just got to throw the world peace in there. Selling
No, I
world.
love that. I think
Yeah,
we're all for it here in this
yeah,
community anyway.
yeah. And we so it's the other thing is that we're in this evolution, we're changing the structure of how money works, right? There's no more this paradigm of like this person has it and they're gonna rule you. It's like, no, that's old school, man. That's like 1800s and whatever archaic olden day. Get out of my face. It's out of style. But we're all changing this on a mass level. Like people are like, even if they're in the program like I was, working in retail and not necessarily, although there were so many beautiful things and I needed that and,
Yeah.
all that stuff. But that we are able to, this evolution is the way we think about these structures and just getting empowered and getting excited for humanity and getting, because the narrative of everything we're watching wants us to think everything is falling apart. But and a lot of things are because it's like it's not working. But there's so many amazing things happening at every single moment. There are so many beautiful things. There's so many animal encounters with people and people being kind to people and people giving shelter to people. And there's so many amazing things happening at every freaking second. And it's about that perspective thing you were speaking about earlier, that like hold that vision, like hold this vision of of us as a human family figuring it out. Because I I actually will go as far as to say I will see this in my lifetime. I will see global peace coming into reality in my lifetime. I guarantee it. I don't know, I just do.
I guarantee it too. I believe it's happening. I believe it's happening. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And I feel like 2026 is definitely, I mean, last year there was I mean, we probably could say it really since COVID times. There's been massive shifts in humanity. But this year it feels different. This year is like you said with the horse, it is like riding that horse and getting on the wave and being together collectively in the same direction. I feel like we are all always got goosies everywhere. I feel like we are all there, or at least we're all trying to get there. We're
Yes,
all looking to get there. Yeah.
exactly. And the fire, what is that? Fire turns base metals into gold. So
Mm.
people who are really resistant of change. And this guy, Daniel, I forget his last name. He's the creator of Wild Earth Animal Essences. So I never even knew what an animal essence was, but um I'm really into flower essences. And then I was speaking about it on YouTube and someone was like, "Do you know about animal essences?" I was like, what? So I'm obsessed. Anyways, I went
I
down
didn't
this
even know it was a thing either.
Yeah, no, I have them all over the house now. I mean, it's only been a week, but I just ordered, but I'm like, I got jaguar, I got butterfly, I got frog. Okay. Anyways, this is what I want to say. The creator, Daniel of Wild Earth Essences for Animal Essences, talked about how the butterfly essence is so powerful for everyone in this time because we are constantly changing. And if you cannot be okay with constant change, you will drown. So that fire is transformation, right? And what we've noticed ever since like we jumped into the timeline after COVID and it's like, what is this reality? Is change, change, change. It's not just, oh, you just quantum jumped. It's okay, you quantum jumped and then you're quantum jumping again, you're quantum jumping, you're sidetrack. Okay, but we're back. And like, it's just constant, we're constantly growing. And it's so funny. Sometimes I'm like on YouTube, I'm like, I'm almost saying the same thing all the time, but like with a different kind of perception. But it's all always, we're just changing constantly. So this fire year is really about that, like, and I love that you said you're into butterflies, so it's probably cool to know that that's one
Yeah.
of
I'm going to go and get that right now
yeah, yeah,
after this.
exactly. Yeah. I'm like, let's get this guy sales, like he is awesome. But so I just think that adaptability to change allows us to be in the flow and not rigid. So yeah, there's just something powerful there in regards to the fire, because fire is about transformation.
Yeah. So much to come this year. And I'm so glad that actually you got on prior to the Fire Horse entering on the 17th of Feb. And this is going to be out next Monday, this episode.
Cool.
Yeah. So it'll land just before Fire Horse as well. So perfectly timed. I mean, we've spoken about so much today, and I know I could speak to you for hours and hours. But I would love to know one thing you would love to leave our inspired founders. I know we obviously got it on about world peace, and that's something very close to your heart. But anything that you'd love to leave our founders with that you feel has really transformed your life, your perception of business, becoming a founder? Like, is there a message you'd love to leave?
I think the animals want to talk to your community right now, and that, you know, there's something mysterious and powerful in nature. And if there is a certain animal that appears in your life, or, look for the repetition. Oh, this one keeps coming up, or I'm watching the Black Panther. Okay, maybe the Black Panther is the message that you guys need to hear. So I'll share that too. But I want to just say, go deep on researching that animal, watch documentaries about it, learn its behavior, draw it, buy little figurines of it. And there's this really mysterious thing that starts to happen where it starts to work with you, and it wants to teach you, it's it wants to teach you something, and it's almost like you just going the extra mile to kind of learn and connect with these animals. It almost fuses its intelligence with your consciousness, and it's as simple as just going on that journey, and it is sharing messages with you. Now, I will say that's the same for nature. If there's a kind of a plant that keeps coming up, but animals just, it's like another, like animals are always like, oh my God, So, I mean, plants are too, but so I feel like for your community, animals wanted me to let you know that they are super excited to work with you. Also, if any of your people want to get Animal Apothecary, I worked with the animals in here to find the people that they would love to share their medicine and their power with. So even if you get it after this, it's because they chose you. They wanted to work with you. And the last thing I'll say is Black Panther, there's a couple messages. So I want everyone listening to think of what their heart's deepest desire now and what they are created. And Black Panther shares, do not be afraid. There is nothing to fear. You are being protected right now, and don't try to control how you think this thing should develop and manifest. Just allow it. It's happening, but don't try to have expectations around how and when. But if there's something that is scaring anyone listening to this right now, Black Panther is letting you know, like, you don't have to be scared. That thing isn't real. It's not real. So that's the ending message.
I love that so much. And I was going to ask you to share your cards as well and how people can find you after this podcast and after listening to. So, where can our audience find you?
Okay, so they can find me at caraelizabethspeaks.com. If you are interested in Animal Apothecary card deck, sold all over the world, a lot of different Amazons. I know you have an international crowd. And I do one-on-one readings. I do coaching. I have a really freaking cool membership that is all about identity shifting and empowerment. And I'm actually going to be launching something really freaking cool for identity shifting at the end of this month, if anyone listening wants to be on my email list. So yeah.
Amazing,
And
amazing.
Cara Elizabeth Speaks on YouTube and Instagram. It's just Cara Elizabeth Speaks with a C. So you just look that up, you find me everywhere.
And we will definitely tag you in the show notes as well so everyone can easily find you. But it has been my absolute pleasure having you on, Cara. Thank you so much.
Awesome. I'm honored. Thank you with all my heart, and sending so much love to everyone listening. And thank you, sister. You're freaking awesome. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know everyone listening is really going to go in and dive deeper into the animals that are showing up in their life, because I know for me, like I said, butterflies is one thing that really shows up for me, but there are different animals as well. So please take the time to dive deeper on who is showing up for you, and please follow Cara after this. Thank you again, Cara, for joining me. Can't wait for everyone to listen.
Thank you so much, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for tuning into this inspirational story. Lucky for you, the inspo doesn't stop here. We have an Inspired Founders Facebook community, a space created just for you to learn, listen, and ask questions from our inspired founders themselves. This unique community is designed to uplift and motivate you to take actions on your own stories and dreams. You'll find the link within our show notes. We can't wait to see you in there.